Lawmakers from across Florida are heading back to Tallahassee for a special session next week. Governor Ron DeSantis called this to strengthen those immigration laws.
Good day, Orlando's Ron Elijah is in the Alert Center this morning with a look ahead to next week. Right, good morning.
Ladies, thank you. Good morning. Governor DeSantis saying he wants to make sure all levels of government are working with the federal government in enforcing immigration laws. Some critics argue calling the special session was premature, but the governor doubling down on that decision.
We're calling them back because this is an important mission, and it's a mission that almost every Republican, is on board with. And we'll see even with some of the Democrats. They just did this Lake and Riley bill in the Senate. I can tell you 4 years ago, that would have gotten 0 Democrat votes. It got Democrat votes, not nearly enough. It should have got more.
I got about 40. The special session starts Monday, exactly a week after the inauguration of President Trump. We do want to bring in State Representative Democrat Anna Eskamani. Anna, always great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Ryan. Great to see you, too.
So you've spoken out against this session. You've called it a waste of public money. On the immigration front, what's your main concern? What do you want to see next week?
Well, what's so unique about this moment in Florida history is that it's not just Democrats who oppose Governor DeSantis' call for a special session. As you know, Ryan, my Republican leadership, my Speaker and Senate President agree that this is premature and really just designed for Governor Ron DeSantis to get media hits and national attention in contrast to the attention that President Trump is receiving right now. I do think it's important to allow these executive orders to go into effect to see what that ripple effect will look like for Florida before we put into place new laws. In fact, Florida has multiple sessions back-to-back where immigration was a focus, and so there really isn't a need for this special session unless we were addressing economic issues like property insurance. I really don't think there's a need with session starting in March for us to do this right now.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the condos in a second, but we know there are some concerns, certainly on the Democratic side and some Republicans, about law enforcement maybe being stretched a little thin assisting ICE. We've heard from Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. He said they're fine. They can handle that. Where does the balance come in your mind on this?
Well, echoing the comments made by my Republican leadership, immigration is a federal issue, and it's really important for us to allow local law enforcement to focus on the everyday crimes taking place in our communities and to pull folks away for essentially what becomes a political ambition by Governor Ron DeSantis. It's not necessary. Every day we have more crimes committed in this state and country by U.S. citizens than we do by those who are undocumented. And at that same point, I think there's a larger conversation to be had about how reliant Florida is on immigrant labor, from agriculture to hospitality to construction. And we're already seeing a spillover effect with current immigration laws, where even those who have status are leaving the state and don't feel welcome here as an immigrant.
There's been a push as well to limit state assistance. That's going to be brought up as well, saying students not here legally should not get Florida assistance. Where do you weigh in on that? Where is the balance on that? And do you understand the argument? Certainly, Senator Fine has said that we shouldn't give state assistance to someone that's not a resident.
Well, the entire debate is based on misinformation. So what Senator Fine is referencing are DACA kids, are dreamers, and these are students who came to the United States as children with their parents. They don't have traditional documentation status, but they do have DACA, which right now is a federal program. And these are students who grew up in Florida. They went to a Florida high school, and so they qualify for in-state tuition, which was a Republican bill 10 years ago. And though this is a small population of students, it's not a state assistance. They're still paying tuition, but because they live in state, they qualify for in-state tuition, but they're still paying for their cost of education. And unfortunately, these are students who would not be able to afford any college experience without that in-state tuition. So I could argue that we would lose money if these students are not able to actually go to a Florida public university.
Let's finish with this. I've heard from a lot of condo owners. They are hoping for help after regulations have been part of what's pushed HOA fees and insurance fees higher, much higher in some cases. What can be done? Can it be done in the special session?
So this is an issue that deserves a special session alongside the property insurance crisis, the affordable housing crisis, and I do feel confident that we can come together in a bipartisan way. What's frustrating is when these more politicized issues, take up all the oxygen. And of course, the tax on immigrants are frustrating me even more because immigrants also pay taxes. And so, again, we have to go back to just finding common ground, solving the issues that matter to every taxpayer, not getting caught up in this political partisan rhetoric.
I wish we had more time, but we're out of time. I always appreciate having you on. There's going to be a lot to cover. McGovern. We'll have you on after as well. State Representative Eskamani, thank you.
Thank you.